Hello, my name is Dr. Caroline Walker and I'm an NHS Psychiatrist and a full-time doctor's wellbeing specialist. I have been making a series of videos about the emotional and mental impact of COVID-19 on doctors and been getting lots of feedback that these are really helping doctors in lots of different phases of what they're facing at the moment. And I was thinking about what to make my next video on, and it's really struck me that we've had the most extraordinary week here in the UK, and I've been really struck by how many doctors have said things to me like I feel like I'm in a movie, or everything just feels surreal, or I can't believe it's just been a week. You know, we think back to just over a week ago here in the UK to what our lives were like and how we felt, and just how many things feel different now. So it got me wondering whether it might be helpful for me personally, but also to help other doctors out there to just spend a few minutes each week just thinking about what we've been through in this last week and what maybe is to come in the week ahead, because we know this is far from being over at this time. So this week I've really been seeing a lot of doctors who are still in the kind of anxious and very stressed and very kind of waiting to see how this is all going to unfold. Quite a lot of uncertainty about what it's going to look like. A lot of doctors kind of preparing for what's to come, but still kind of hasn't really hit home yet. We are starting to see some doctors who are in those perhaps more frontline services like the intensive care units, where some of those are starting to get quite full and busy now. And some doctors are facing some really quite challenging situations in their day-to-day job around COVID, seeing some very sick patients. I've seen and spoken to and heard from a lot of doctors this week who've been feeling really guilty. So a lot of doctors who perhaps aren't able to help at the moment for whatever reason, maybe they're out of practice or on career breaks, or they're sick at the moment, or but lots and lots of guilt at the moment. I'm hearing from doctors who can't perhaps be right there on those front lines fighting as they would like to be at the moment. I'm also, this week has been seeing the first of the kind of big waves of issues around this idea of doctors returning to practice who've not been in practice for a while. And they are really just at the start of their journey, and this whole thing about deciding whether they're going to return or not and what that might look like. And then there are some doctors that are kind of embracing that blitz spirit, that some that are keeping our spirits up by posting and reflecting in really lovely, funny and warm and wonderful ways, and the darker side of that, which has been sometimes a bit of a lashing back from people who are kind of feeling this isn't appropriate. So there's been a real mixture this week of lots and lots of shock, lots of anxiety, lots of guilt, a bit of anger as well, and I'm going to come on to do a video about anger because I think it's really important that we talk about that and normalise that as well as an emotion that we're all going through at the moment. Of course, there's the parenting issue as well that I haven't mentioned yet, where with the schools shutting, there's a lot of doctors that are affected by that, myself included. So yeah, that's the week that was, and I guess I just want to say that these are absolutely extraordinary times. These are times, these are unprecedented in many ways. We have to go quite, back into history to really try to find times when we as humans, within our families, within perhaps different generations within our families, have had any experiences like this, and many of us haven't, and it's really quite extraordinary. So I guess my number one message about that is that it's really, really normal at this stage, at this very early stage where, of course, coronavirus has been around in the world for, several months that we've known now, but really in the UK, this first phase of it kind of really hitting home emotionally this week for a lot of the UK population and a lot of doctors and healthcare professionals. It's really understandable and normal that we're all reeling a little bit, and I'm hearing a lot of people use words like that. I'm reeling, I'm rattled, I'm it's like we've got this jumble of emotions, and I'm experiencing these too. And I guess I just want to normalise that at this stage, when something this big is going on, that we are going to be feeling a whole different range of emotions, and they're going to vary at different times depending on what our own personal circumstances are. So what can we do? Well, let's think about the week ahead, and then let's think about what we can do to help ourselves at this really extraordinary time. So I think it's impossible to predict the future, but we do know that this is not going anywhere soon, and we know that it's going to get, the pandemic itself within the UK is going to get worse. We know that we're kind of at the beginning of the peak starting to ramp up, and so I think what we're going to see with doctors and their emotional well-being and how we're feeling is perhaps a real mixture again this week of some of us where the impact is directly starting to take effect. There's going to be more doctors that are having to work in different ways, in extraordinary ways that are really quite traumatic and quite difficult and quite stressful. And I think some of the doctors that have been dealing with this for a few weeks now are going to really start to feel quite exhausted and a bit burnt out, and starting to struggle. I think actually, ironically, there's going to be a bit of a flip to a positive, in the sense that when things start to get busier and harder in some respects, they also get easier in other respects, because we're not quite so anxious and so worried about what's to come, because we're so focused on what we're doing right now. So and I know in the world of well-being around doctors, it certainly felt this last week like we've been kind of feeling okay. We've been buffered by the fact that we can be useful right now, we can do things, we can help, we can reach out. And so when you can be busy, when you can be actively taking part in your kind of this stuff going on, it actually, sometimes you sort of get a bit of a point where it feels a bit better or a bit easier for a while. Not easy isn't the right word, but it's not as hard as that kind of just that waiting, that anticipatory fear that a lot of us are feeling right now. So I think we're going to have a real mixture next week. I think the guilt is going to continue. I think the confusion and I think it's going to continue. I think the anxiety and the waiting for many is still going to continue as things start to increase and ramp up. I think, and I think that those the blitz spirit stuff is going to kind of rise to meet that challenge as well. And we're going to see some really wonderful examples, as we have been doing already, about human beings coming to one another's support and rallying together in these really quite extraordinary times. So what can we do, given the week that we've just been through as a nation and as a healthcare profession, and given the week we're about to face here, particularly in the UK, I'm speaking about, what can we do? Well, I think the main thing is please try to normalise whatever you're feeling is okay. Whatever you're going through right now is okay. It's what you're meant to be feeling right now. Well, I'm encouraging a lot of doctors to, at this stage, really look after the basics of your self-care as much as you can. So really look at your, the things you're doing that could help you with your sleep and your eating and your rest time. Looking at those really basic things, making sure you're brushing your teeth, making sure you're, trying if you can to do the normal things, even if it feels a bit weird and a bit strange to be, enjoying time with family, for example. It's really important that we start to allow ourselves to really do those things as we move into this next phase. So it's thinking about, what can I do right now? We might not know what we're about to face, but what can I do right now in this day, today, to kind of look after myself so that I'm in as best a position as possible to face what is coming. And yeah, just taking it one day at a time, because things are still going to be changing quite rapidly, and our emotions are going to be changing quite rapidly. That's really, really normal. You can be feeling really quite elated one moment and really absolutely despairing and frightened the next. And so just allowing for that again as we go into this sort of second sort of major emotional week in the UK. And beyond that, I just want to signpost a couple of services that are out there and available. There are lots and lots and lots of people at the moment, I can assure you, that are looking at how we can really support all frontline staff, not just doctors, but all healthcare staff, all frontline staff, to get through the emotional pressures of what we're facing right now. And those things will be announced in time, and I will be telling you all about them. But right now, I want to just highlight a couple that are there for doctors that you might want to think about using. So if you're sort of just a bit like all of us, reeling a little bit from what's going on, and you just need a space to talk, a safe space to just share and be heard and feel and just talk about what it is going like for you, and all those different emotions you're going through, then something like the BMA Wellbeing Service could be really good for you. It's for any doctor, you don't have to be a member. Just Google it, BMA Wellbeing Service. There's a 24/7 call line that you can call, and they can hook you up with some one-to-one talking support online and by phone at the moment. So I'd really go for the BMA Wellbeing Service if you're kind of feeling like you just need a safe space. If you're feeling like maybe there's a bit more to it than this, and you've got perhaps a mental health problem underlying or developing, so you're severely anxious, or you're feeling quite traumatized, or you really feel like you're on the edge of breakdown, or you're really struggling, perhaps think about, in England in particular, self-referring to the NHS Practitioner Health Service. It's fantastic. It's a free and confidential service any doctor in England can self-refer to. As I say, I will be sharing more resources for other doctors as well, and for other sorts of types of support. There's a list on my website, joyfuldoctor.com, of free support resources as well, if you want to check that out, if there's a particular thing. Or just email me, please, at caroline@joyfuldoctor.com, and I'm very happy to signpost you. I've been getting some emails in already and being able to sort of help to send you off to the right place at this particular point in time for whatever it is that you're struggling with. I'm very happy to do that. Please do look after yourselves. This has been an extraordinary week, and I think we're about to face another quite extraordinary week. But hopefully, as I say, as we start to go through the next few weeks and months, we'll start to get a little bit more used to the fact that we're going through something so big. Right now, it's still really, really quite fresh and new, so I think everything feels quite raw, and our emotions can be a bit all over the place and coming out sideways, and that's okay. That's really, really normal. Please know there is help out there for you. Get in touch if we can help with that, with signposting you, and do take care. And please let me know if this video has been helpful, this kind of like roundup of what this week's been like and what we might be about to face, and then please let me know. Please like, love, comment, share, because I'm really trying to do these videos to be as helpful as possible to as many doctors as possible at the moment. So thank you for listening, and I will speak to you again soon. Okay, bye for now.